Hi friends and fellow Earth Angels, it's Gladys, and welcome back to another one of my weekly Sunday card readings. And this spread will start by covering September 6th to the 12th, or whenever you're guided to watch, as I always intend these to be timeless readings, meaning you can come back at any time, scroll through the playlists, and pick a reading that speaks to your heart. And every single time you'll receive different divine guidance, wisdom, and insight to support you on your journey. So welcome new subscribers. I'm happy to have you here. I feel like the EarthAngel Collective all over the planet is just expanding in light. Every time we expand in light, the shadow stuff within us, our programs, our outdated belief systems need to come up and out. I keep seeing the words go with the flow, pause and reflection, and I'm guessing this week for the theme. I just keep seeing the words go with the flow, and things like obstacles, hurdles, speed bumps coming along our pathway just to kind of slow us down. So I almost feel like the imagery that I'm getting is, the message is, be aware of every single step you're taking in the present moment. As I started opening up space for this reading, I have a lot of decks that I enjoy using, and, I very much enjoy sitting down and sitting with them and asking which, wants to start, and then, the reading just kind of unfolds. And this week when I was sitting with the decks, I kept hearing, what's up on planet Earth? And I remembered I had these cards tucked away. I'm still unpacking my life from my move, and I had these cards in a different space than all the others, and I was like, Earth magic, that's what we need this week. I have found myself so immersed in just responsibility and details and getting things done, errands, that I found myself this week missing Earth magic, missing synchronicities, missing really being in flow without plotting and planning my next move. It's so easy to fall into that space. And so, this week or this weekend, I had planned to take time off to reconnect with that part of me. And it just kind of got me thinking about all the places that I've traveled, all the cool experiences that I've had. And it really got me missing that, which I know was Mother Nature, the Divine Mother, almost like I was I in all those instances, I was the child, and the Mother Nature was just setting up a really fun experience for me in all those times of travel that I had. And I haven't been able to travel. Obviously, many of us are still in lockdown or social distancing, so I have opted out of any travel at all. And for those of you who know me, I am a traveler, and so I forgot about the magic that traveling brings me. And it got me thinking, well, why can't I start doing that here? And so that's what I've been doing. And, I found myself watching an ant the other day when I was taking my dog out, and it had it looked like a grain of sugar or a breadcrumb. And this little ant was struggling to get up the anthill to take it to into the hole. And I found myself just cheering on this ant. I'm like, come on, you can do it. And it just felt so good to be connected. And then I walked down a little bit more, and there was a squirrel playing in the trees, and he was dropping down the acorns down on me and my dog. And then there was a few days before that, there was a blue jay in the tree that was just singing its song, and it was those moments that I realized how much I missed the divine synchronicities with the earth. So sometimes when we have obstacles, hiccups, and bumps and challenges, we can get so consumed with that energy that we forget that there's a divine plan and that the universe is always, always guiding us. And if we listen as we go into our hearts and we connect to the heartbeat, the drum of the Mother Earth, will always, always, always be divinely guided. So that's the inspiration for my reading this week. And so I will start with, as I said, Earth Magic. And then I will pull from Sacred Earth Oracle, Nature's Whispers, Mystical Wisdom, and Soulful Woman. As you can see, these are very feminine cards, so it'll be interesting to see what messages come out. So let me open space, invite in all your guardian angels and guides, the archangels, the ascended masters, the divine mother and father, and all their holy beings of light who would like to assist with this guidance for us this week, September 6th to the 12th. And I'm going to ask that the messages that come through be for your best and highest good, and the best and highest good of all concerned. So for those of you who are new to this channel, please know that this is a very general reading. So the intention is that these messages reach a broad scope of the EarthAngel Collective. So you might get one card that really, really resonates with you. You might learn from the information that's channeled, or the whole reading could connect with you. I know I've been getting emails and messages from you telling me how aligned you are with these messages, and they're so very special, and thank you so much for doing that. It just opens up my heart even more. And, like I said, as you put them in the comments and you talk about how the readings resonate with you, it just helps people feel more closer and connected. Otherwise, it's common for earth angels to feel like alone. But, as we learn, as we are guided to things like this, that we're never alone. Spirit and the divine are always with us. All right, so let me ask Mother Nature, what is the most important message you need for us to hear, see, feel, and know this week? Wow, okay. Effortless. Oh my gosh, waterfall. This is speaking right to what I was talking about with flow. So I'm going to do this reading a little different this week. I'm actually just going to pull all the cards before I start channeling. I don't know why. It was just something I thought of before I did the reading. So that's what I'm going to do. All right. So let's see. This one is, what was this? Sacred Earth Oracle. Mother Nature. What is the most important message you need us to hear, see, feel, and know this week? I'm a little clumsy with the bigger decks. Just make it loud and clear for us. I don't know how much you're able to see. Okay, that's loud and clear. Oh, it's interesting because this is the cover of the box. Expectation. Effortless expectation. Oh, I already feel like I know where they're going, or she's going. Nature's Whispers. Additional message. Additional message this week. Keep your dreams alive. And let's see. Mystical Wisdom, Mother Earth. What else do you want to tell us this week? What wisdom from the deepest depth of your womb? How can you soothe our souls this week with your innate wisdom? Most important message. Wow. Face your fears. Gorgeous. Release the power of fear. All right, and one more. This ring I have on keeps slipping off. Soulful woman. What message of love do you have for the collective this week? Just looking at all the sacred geometry on the back of these cards. Look at such beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sacred geometry. I'm just realizing that. Beautiful art. And infinite self. My infinite self dwells in the sweetness of this very moment. Okay, let's see. And I might pull more as we go. I just want to, I kind of do these readings and they kind of just unfold, but I almost wanted, but when I get to finished with them, I never really get a chance to look at like the pattern and how they all come together because it's been so long. So I'm just looking at this and I'm seeing these teal turquoise. I happened to find that. That was actually a gift to me from, there was a year I wasn't able to go on a trip to Sedona, and one of the girls on the trip brought that back for me. So there's no coincidence that I pulled this turquoise stone and we're getting such a common theme of that color throughout. Now this turquoise or teal color always reminds me of the Holy Spirit, the divine feminine energy. So I feel like the Divine Mother, life should be effortless when we're following the natural flow of the current. So I feel like for some of you this week, pay attention to how you're resisting life. Control is something that comes up. I want it to be this way. Expectations, that was one of the cards, of course. And when we've got expectations and we're not going with the flow and we're trying to control life, we come out of alignment with our infinite self. And life becomes like really hard and challenging and difficult. And so, I say this so often, the moment we really can own in our physical body that life is happening for us and not against us, everything changes. So I have a new card deck that I've been using. I believe it's a deck by Kyle Gray, and I think it's his Ascended Masters deck. It's an incredible deck. It's so incredibly powerful, but I don't know it well enough to start using it. And anyway, in one of the cards, I was reading about fate and destiny. And it was saying how we have this map of our life, which is our fate. And I saw the imagery of like a treasure map. So fate is the map itself, like things that are meant to happen to assist us on our spiritual journey. And if I've ever done your life path numbers and talked to you about your spiritual journey, you know that those numbers for you are fated. You were born into this life on the date you were born with the numbers, with these specific numbers, so that you could have certain experience for your own soul growth. That is fated. Destiny is the pathway. So if somebody has in their life purpose numbers chart the number 5 life path people, or anybody with a 5 in their chart, one of the biggest things they've come into this life to learn about is freedom and discipline. Their destiny is the million different ways that they can learn about freedom and discipline. So some people learn about having a very difficult upbringing with parents who disciplined or teachers who disciplined. Some learn about freedom with experience that they've had in traveling and movement. So just to get this clear, the fate is the map, is the numbers that you chose to come in here. And then destiny is all the ways that you can experience the learning those, how do I want to say that? The destiny is all the different ways that you'll grow in that experience. So that's why we say we have free will. And so the universe, Mother Nature, the Divine Mother and Father, their role for you is to keep you on course, on your map, right? If they see you going off course and getting distracted, the universe will start squeezing, almost like a contraction, to make you uncomfortable, to get you out of that situation, that job, that emotion, that feeling. And we usually, because we have like human amnesia, we usually recognize these things when, it's a pattern that we've seen over and over and over again. We're like, wait a minute, time out. I'm the common denominator. This just keeps happening to me, right? For a very long time, the ego can appear to teach you to blame everybody else. But through this pandemic, a lot of those distractions and that which we blamed were removed from us, and yet the challenges were still there. So this year 2020, I had this like divine hit this week. 2020 was about breaking the cycles and the patterns and having a really hard look at your stuff. So people were really being challenged to strengthen their intuitive skills, their divine intuition, to pay attention to limiting beliefs, doing inner child work, shadow work. And that stuff is dark. It's challenging. I can't even tell you how many tears I've sat through. And I just feel like I hold this bottomless bucket for the tears of the world. And that's my role, is through the channeled messages, it gets clients to finally release the tension, the emotional energy, so that we can clear that out. And I always say, after a good cry is when you're closest to God. Every time I had a deep sob that I finally released, I can usually sense the buildup, but after a really good cry, that is when I feel the most closest to God. That is when the grass is greener, the wisdom is more clear and loud. I just feel more sacred. And so when we face our fears and release expectations, life starts to become effortless. We start to see it in a different way, so that no matter what is happening, we're still in that space of inner peace. It's all about perspective, right? How you look at things. You can look at things in the shadow or the light. I always say there's always a silver lining, right? And I was just thinking earlier, I had a problem arise. It basically took me all day, and this is why I'm channeling this much later than I'm comfortable with, but it's all good. I'm pulling in the energy of the night this week. I'm usually pulling in the energy of the day, so I'm channeling in the night. Probably why I was guided to do this reading different, so that we can put it all out there. And I didn't know how I wanted to deal with it. The old me really wanted to ignore it. But the adult me, the grown woman in me, knew if I ignored it, it was going to get worse. But I didn't know how to handle it because it was kind of a new situation for me. So I asked Archangel Michael. I said, Michael, show me what to do. And then I went outside and I was walking my dog and I saw my neighbor outside. So I asked him the question. He didn't know, so he went and got his roommate. And his roommate and I worked on this problem together. And it was fine. It worked out. So the thought that I had was, if you don't know how to answer a question or you don't know how to solve a problem, wait a minute. That's it. That's what I got. Instead of ignoring it, how do you face your fears, right? I didn't know how to deal with this. I didn't want to deal with it. I actually had a plan today to do many other different things than actually I did, hence the going with the flow, right? And the beautiful thing is because I waited and I allowed the synchronicities to unfold, which actually was perfect, I didn't have to do it alone. And it was actually kind of fun to move through. Well, it's kind of a pain, but I didn't have to do it alone. And it was really nice to have the support. So I think that's one of the big things, is that how can we pause and reflect in moments of challenges? Or how can we slow down when there's a speed bump so you just don't go barreling over it and damage your energy body, right? Your vehicle, your vessel. Really pay attention to expectations this week. How you expect things to be, and looking at the reality of what it really is. Sometimes when we can pull back and get a different perspective, we can see things in a different light. I'm actually going to look at the book for this one. This deck is pretty new for me too. I want to just see where Mother Nature wants us to go with that. So, let me see. So the earthly meaning: confront your ideas about a situation, a relationship, or yourself. Poke, dare, and test your expectations. If it is real, it will remain. Be honest, reflective, and determine if an accepted truth is truly serving you and those you care about. Consenting to things turning out okay is settling for less. Expect more for yourself and your circle. Let go of what you know to make way for wisdom. Yes. So many times. I mean, when I get in my car, I have Apple Play, so the GPS and the map is always up. And so many times my GPS would give me a hit. Save 2 minutes or save 5 minutes in going this route. And me being me, sometimes in the I hit no thank you, it's just a minute. No thank you, it's just a couple minutes. I'm going to go the way I know. And then sure enough, as soon as I hit that no thank you, traffic or construction or a detour. And I laugh about it. I mean, I can't get frustrated about it anymore. I mean, I do it to myself, and I know I do it to myself, but I don't realize it until it happens again. And I just think it's such a perspective on life, right? We have expectations on where we're going and how we want to get there. And then the universe sends these divine little nudges, just very subtle. And we're in that ego space, it's like, nope, I know, and this is where I want to go. And then it's like, see, I told ya. It reminds me of like Chip from Beauty and the Beast. See, I told ya. And this happened to me recently, and I ended up being very late for an appointment. It all worked out though. And so if you're being faced with these challenges, how can you look at it from a different perspective? How can you call on the universe, the divine mother, Mother Earth, if whatever you're channeling from, how do you call on that? Or listen, how can you this week pause and reflect, be with nature, and ask? The universe abides by the law of free will. So we need to open up and receive and ask for the divine to come in. I asked the angels today, my little problem turned into a big problem, but it's all good now. I asked them to help me and assist me, and I didn't know what to do. And lo and behold, I got plenty of assistance, which is perfect. So how can you look at what's happening in your life from a different perspective, from a different angle? And this will help you get more into the essence of who you are. It says, my infinite self dwells in the sweetness of this very moment. So I feel like this card is saying the answers, all the answers are deep within. And it requires you getting out of your head, your mental thinking, right? And it requires you to bring your awareness to your heart center, going to that inner place of stillness within. When I received wisdom and insight, it's like it comes from a black abyss, like a well, like a womb of emptiness. And that's how I know it's divine truth. And that's how I know it's my infinite self speaking. It actually comes from behind me in this abyss of darkness. And it just feels powerful. When my ego's speaking, I'm like up in my head and I literally get tension. I literally get tension in my head. And that's when I know, that's how I know I'm out of alignment. And I just kind of pause and pull back in. So many of you this week are being asked to get back to your infinite self, get out of expectation, trying to make things happen. If life just seems like such an effort, pause. And then how can you face your fears, right? Some fears are control, right? The anxiety, the feelings of anxiety really stems from unmet needs, people pleasing, feeling out of control. So how can you release the power of fear? You feel fear in your stomach. You can feel it in your lower back. It's almost like a zing that goes up your spine. And it really freezes you for a second. And this is why, where did it talk about being present? I think it was expectations. In this very moment, being present with your physical self, being aware of how your body's feeling in every moment will give you a clue into your environment, like your physical body, especially if you're a divine feminine, if you're divine feminine dominant, your physical body's going to tell you. It's like it feels like the energy all around you, and it's giving you information constantly. Unfortunately, many of us have been raised in this world, this wounded, distorted perception of reality. This sometimes I feel like it's a crazy game show that just there is no ending, and it's constantly like doing these crazy things, right, to get somewhere, but ultimately we get nowhere. And so if you can pull back within yourself, and all year the universe and the angels and the divine have been talking to you about these spiritual practices, right? Opening your heart, calling on the divine, asking them for assistance, going for walks, praying, meditating, fasting, detoxing, eating healthy, because those are all the foundational things to help you become more aware of your feelings and your emotions, because the signs are in the present moment. I had a client this week, and she was having a really tough time, and we were talking about signs, the different colors the angels come in, and the different ways that they come in. And one of the angels, or two of the angels that came in, were green to her. One was mint green and one was an emerald green. And she looked at me, and this was on the video chat. She looked at me and said, "Well, where am I going to see green?" In that moment, I looked at her. Well, in that moment, I looked at her, and then I saw myself, and I was wearing like this minty emerald green. It was like the combination of both. And I laughed and I'm like, hello. And I just showed her my shirt and I'm like, I'm wearing green. Now I had been saying green. That didn't even hit me until that moment. And we both had a really good chuckle about how things right in front of our faces can be missed when we're really in our head. And so ask yourself this week, ask the divine to help you to move downstream effortless. And if anything comes along your way, any fears, breathe through that, absorb that energy, be with your body. Maybe it's self-soothing, comforting. Maybe it's connecting with your inner child. Just be kind. I think overall, just be kind to yourself in those moments, saying, okay, we got this. I had a car pull out. It was a double lane, and the car pulled out, and he was going in the left lane next to me. But when I looked over, it was like he was coming right at me, and I jumped. And it just jolted my body with like energy, and it was like tension. I was like, oh, that feels awful. And so immediately I just instinctively, because I've been doing a lot of work on this self-soothing, I instantly put my hand over my chest and I just rubbed my chest and I'm like, we're okay. He was just trying to get in. We're good. You just didn't know what he was doing, but he knew what he was doing. We're all good. And I was able to release that, where a year ago that would have activated lower back pain that would have lasted, like that anxiety, that jolt, that fear would have activated pain in my body that would have stayed. And so in those moments when we can self-soothe and we can shift the energy, it lessens the impact and speeds up the recovery process. And you get to deeper levels of your infinite self, right? This part of you that sees yourself as an expansive being. And we have many lifetimes to evolve, learn, and grow. I mean, I'm just looking at the beauty of these cards, and they are just so powerful. So let me talk about this. Keep your dreams alive. Some of you, of course, it's the 7, right? The 7 is a very spiritual number. Those of you who have 7 in your life path numbers, the biggest thing you've come into this life to learn about is trust and openness. Trust, we talk about your own self, your own innate self, your own divine wisdom. Obviously 7 is like spiritual insight. So keep your dreams alive. So when we get caught up in these fears and these expectations, we literally get cut off from our infinite self and we forget the faded map. We forget the reasons why we're here. And when you can see that challenges are part of the experience for us to get good at and learn and grow, like a kid in order to get good at multiplication tables needs to do them over and over and over again, right? 1 times 2, 2 times 2, 2 times 4, 2 times 6, like as you go through them, it's just going over them over and over, and eventually it's programmed in there. So the evil conscious of the world has been programming you with fear and worry and materialism and these outdated beliefs about jobs and money and relationships and what they should and shouldn't be. And it's completely cut us off from the essence of who we are and this innate wisdom that guides us, right? So this week, check in with yourself and see why are you doing what you're doing? Have you forgotten your dreams? Have you gotten consumed by the programming of the world? Now, the programming of the world isn't bad. I mean, we come here as a soul to learn. So it's through the programming that it's like a pathway through spiritual growth. So you need to have those experiences to evolve out of them. So you can't do multiplication tables if you don't know what the number 1 and 2 look like, or you don't know how to add or subtract them. There is a process, right? Steps that you have to take to learn. And then after multiplication, it's division, and then decimals and then fractions and so on and so forth. So it really is never ending. So when you're repeating these patterns and these cycles, instead of looking at it as like, oh, I'm never going to get there and here I am again, and that failure, that ego part of you, look at it as now you're going to a deeper level and you can look at it from a different perspective. Education is so profound and fleeting. Once you learn something, it changes, right? Perspective changes, energy shifts around it, right? So this is why most spiritual teachers who are really in their divine flow are always learning, are always growing, are always challenging themselves in perspective, exploring, right? Having experiences, then I always say I challenge the system. I'll get like an idea or a thought, and then I'll ask a million people. I'll share it with clients, and I'll test it until I'm like, okay, here's a pattern, here's a rhythm. Now, my human design is a projector, and that is just my natural way of seeing things, like the whole picture. I mean, that's my human design. But we all have these gifts, right? So that for me is faded. But yet the destiny is the million ways or steps that I can take to learn those things, right? It's my choice. And so maybe this week, some of you will be facing fears and learning how to navigate your own physical body and put yourself first, right? Oxygen mask on yourself first before you assist anybody else. Maybe some of you this week are being asked to take some alone time and reconnect with his infinite self. It's no coincidence. I'm just realizing that this is up here and this is down here. It's almost like this is in the light, this is in the dark. And so I feel like it's just no coincidence why things happen the way they do. And so let me see here. I just feel like they don't want you to forget about your dreams, why you're here. I'm seeing this soul here. If you see this soul, it's like she's blowing wisdom. So some of you can actually just pause for a moment to receive the wisdom, the breath of sustenance, the divine breath. It is believed that, so that leads me to breath work, right? So if you're asking how do I do that? Breath work. So there is the first breath when you're born, when you exit the womb, however you exit the womb, there's that first breath that everybody waits for. Right? And usually the baby cries after that to start getting the air and the oxygen in their lungs and getting their blood pumping, right? It's just this zing of aliveness. It's believed like in that moment that God blows the breath of life into the child, into the baby. And then if you've ever sat with somebody who is taking their last breath, there's this peace with it. And it's almost like it comes full circle. So it's very easy to forget about how profound the breath can be, breath work. So this week, if you're feeling the expectations, the control, the fears, try to interrupt it. Try to interrupt the thought pattern in saying to yourself, like, that's a lie. That's not my infinite self, and that's not what this dream is about, and that's not, I'm not going to believe it. It's a lie. And then take a deep, deep breath. Just like that problem I had this afternoon. I was like, all right, yeah, I don't want to deal with this. I know I'm going to have to. And about 20 seconds, I was like, I chose to ignore it. And then my conscious kicked in, and the adult me kicked in and said, now, girl, we've done a lot of work on this. You know you can't ignore it. And so I took a deep breath. I'm like, okay, show me. And then my next thought was, go take your dog out. He's got to go out for the morning. And that's when everything unfolded like perfectly. And so this is where we start trusting in the universe when these things happen, right? Like after the fact, we're like, oh, I'm glad I did that. Oh, I'm glad I met that person. But you have to always remember that you're always divinely guided. And when we're up against resistance and you start feeling that tension in your body, if you can almost immediately interrupt the thought pattern that's creating tension and just tell that ego part, this is a lie. That's a lie. That is not my divine truth. Take a deep breath and just saying, okay, God, show me the truth of this situation. All right, Mother Nature, give me something. That's what I do when I go outside. Give me something. And then the crows will be squawking, the bluebirds will be flying around, the ants, the squirrels, the trees. It really is magical. So if you're not able to kind of take this full circle, if you're not able to go on retreats, go on travel, go to the spas, go to the majestic places where you would spiritually fill up, you're being asked this week to create those moments in your everyday life. You don't need to go somewhere to experience divine miracles and magic. You don't have to go anywhere. It could be right in your backyard, right? The beauty of a plant or a flower opening up. And really the what lights up the divine feminine, what lights up Mother Nature and the divine mother energy is you being a witness to the beauty that is all around you. You know, when I look at my dog, he's got these really beautiful, unique eyes and these eyelashes that are just so beautiful. I just love that. And when I look at him and I just see all those little details, what makes him so, so handsome. It's like the divine love in me just fills me up to overflowing. So if you can do that this week, and it will require you to put on pause all those have-tos and shoulds and like I said, trying to force life and make things happen. When you can pause and appreciate and savor the moment, you'll start to see how step by step your life starts to change, right? When you redirect your attention on what's good, what feels nourishing, what's thrilling. It makes you feel alive. You know, a lot of times Earth Angels, we can be used to these signs. Maybe we've been getting the number synchronicities and the signs from the angels for many years. It can be very easy to take for granted how each and every one of those synchronicities is a divine miracle, right? So let's get back to basics this week. Let's get back to why we're here on this planet in experiencing. Wear this color, right? I mean, it's no coincidence that this color is in every single card, and I happen to pull it, right? This stone is a stone from actually one of my favorite places, Sedona. I forget what it's called. It's a special kind of stone, but there's no coincidence that I pulled the turquoise, the Holy Spirit, right? The divine feminine essence. All right, so I'm going to wrap up. Close space. Thank all your guardian angels and guides, the archangels, the ascended masters, the divine mother and father, and all their holy beings of light who would like to assist, who assisted for this reading this week. And I'm going to ask that any healing that was started continue for as long as it needs to be done. So it is. So I spoke about life purpose readings. I'm still online doing video chats through September. So I do, if you're curious about your numbers that can help you with purpose and understanding why you're here, you can book that. My information is in the description box below. My subscription program is rocking and rolling. We're doing about 1 to 2 meetups a month where we all get together on Zoom and I come up with a topic, and it's just really magical. I mean, I'll pull cards and they'll see how things unfold. I mean, it's so powerful. If you're interested in that, that's there. And then the Past Life Oracle card reading is still available if you've been doing some deep healing and you're still feeling blocked or challenged, maybe some information from your past life can assist. And maybe it's like a thread that you can understand. I mean, we always say healing is awareness. Once you're aware of something, then you can shift it and change it. So that's what that oracle card reading is meant to do. All right, friends, thank you so much for watching. I know and value and appreciate your time. It's valuable, and I thank you so much for spending some of that time with me and being open to receive. I love you so much. I feel your beautiful energy every week when the reading goes out, so thank you for that. Remember that God loves you so much. Trust in the divine, trust your intuition, and I send you love with heavenly hugs. Bye for now.